This isn't a nightmare. It's a velociraptor from Jurassic Park.
What are you saying? What are you looking for?
Hollywood painted a captivating portrait. They showed us creatures that weren't just mindless predators. These dinosaurs could think, they could plan, and perhaps most chilling of all, they could work together. Now picture yourself as the unlucky prey. You're crossing a tall, grassy field. The wind rustles through the blades. Suddenly, a shape darts across your path. It freezes, locking eyes with you, distracting you. But then, you hear rustling on both sides. You're surrounded. This is the trap. Velociraptors didn't hunt alone. If you saw one, the rest of the pack was already closing in. One raptor draws your attention. The others creep in from the flanks. And when you step back, you step straight into their jaws. Sure, it's not entirely accurate from a paleontological standpoint, but it planted the seed of a legend. Welcome to Velociraptor. Brilliant killer betrayed by a dying Earth they couldn't escape. Let's rewind the clock back about 75 million years. Not to a lush tropical island, but to the vast, arid landscapes we now call the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, and similar regions in what is today China. Imagine a place of dramatic temperature swings, from scorching days under a relentless sun to frigid nights, with sand dunes constantly shifting like frozen waves and sparse vegetation clinging to life near ephemeral water sources. A completely different world, right? More raw, more rugged, and in many ways this challenging environment forged creatures that were far more dangerous, honed by scarcity and competition. This harsh, unforgiving land gave rise to some of the strangest, cleverest, and most resilient creatures evolution ever crafted. This was the domain of Velociraptor, a proud member of the Theropoda group, the lineage of mostly carnivorous, two-legged dinosaurs. Within that group, it belonged to the family Dromaeosauridae, the running lizards, often nicknamed raptors, a group known for their agility and that signature claw. This family also includes famous cousins like Deinonychus from North America, whose discovery heavily influenced the Jurassic Park depiction, even though the movie used the Velociraptor name. The story first began to unfold in 1924. Imagine the thrill of those early scientists. In the middle of the windswept desert, they unearthed the first bones, a fractured skull still bearing sharp serrated teeth, and most strikingly, one of those iconic sickle-shaped claws. They knew instantly, this was no ordinary fossil. This was a swift, agile predator unlike anything they'd seen. And so the name Velociraptor mongolensis was born. But it wasn't until we started piecing together scattered bones, faint scratches in stone, and fossil finds from across the globe that a fuller, stranger, and more haunting portrait began to emerge. And so the name Velociraptor mongolensis was born, literally meaning swift plunderer from Mongolia, a name coined by expedition leader Henry Fairfield Osborn to capture the essence of this clearly predatory animal. But it wasn't until decades later, as more fossils emerged, that a fuller, stranger, and more hauntingly beautiful portrait began to form. Velociraptor wasn't some hulking lizard. It was a killer bird that never got the chance to fly. Contrary to the towering monster we saw on screen, the real Velociraptor was much smaller. Picture this. It stood only about half a meter, around 1.6 feet tall at the hip. That means if it were standing next to you, it would barely reach your knee, maybe even a bit lower. And as for its weight, just 15 to 20 kilograms, roughly 33 to 44 pounds. Yes, you heard that right. That puts it in the same weight class as a border collie. This smaller size drastically changes how we must imagine its life and hunting style. It couldn't wrestle large prey through sheer bulk like its cinematic counterpart. Talk about a major size twist, but don't let its small frame fool you. In the prehistoric world, size wasn't everything. With a lightweight body, lean muscles, and a sleek build, Velociraptor could move fast, dart through tricky terrain, and strike with lightning speed. It didn't rely on brute force. It was an artist of precision. For decades, Velociraptor was imagined with scaly, reptilian skin, much like a lizard walking on two legs. However, a groundbreaking discovery changed everything. Small bumps found along the forearm bone, called quill knobs, revealed the points where feathers once anchored. This confirmed that Velociraptor was covered in feathers, resembling a strange, flightless bird of prey. The image of a smooth-skinned monster began to fade. Instead, paleontologists now envision a creature cloaked in feathers, which may have served multiple purposes. These feathers could have helped it stay warm during cold desert nights. They might also have played a role in courtship displays, perhaps in colors we can only guess. And some scientists even believe they were used for nesting and brooding, much like modern birds. But having feathers doesn't mean Velociraptor was harmless. Each of its feet carried that raised second toe, holding a sharp, curved claw measuring about 6.5 centimeters, 2.6 inches, along its outer edge and likely longer in life when covered by a keratin sheath. This claw was not used for walking. It was a weapon. When attacking, Velociraptor could leap and slash, but mounting evidence, particularly from studying modern birds of prey, supports the raptor prey restraint (RPR) model. Imagine Velociraptor leaping onto prey perhaps its own size or slightly larger, using its body weight and flapping feathered arms for balance, while digging that sickle claw deep into the victim to pin it down. Much like an eagle mantling over its catch, the claws would secure the struggling animal. While the victim was immobilized, its sharp teeth, around 26 to 28 on each side of the jaw, constantly replaced, would deliver quick, slicing bites to dispatch it. This wasn't just slashing, it was a grapple and bite strategy. And to control such a fast, agile body equipped with deadly tools, it needed more than just brute instinct. It needed a capable brain. Fossil evidence from the skull suggests that, compared to its body size, Velociraptor had a relatively large brain. This was particularly impressive when compared to many of the other dinosaurs that lived during the same time period. The position of its eye sockets and the structure of its inner ear suggest that it had excellent vision, high auditory sensitivity, and most notably, superior motor coordination. Velociraptor was not simply reacting to the world around it, it was calculating its moves. Its brain-to-body ratio was unusually high, opening the door to complex behaviors. These could include strategic hunting, the ability to remember territories, and the capacity to identify the weakest member of a herd. Some scientists even speculate that it may have been capable of social learning, with individuals teaching or imitating one another. This is where things become even more intriguing. Velociraptor may not have been a solitary hunter like many other predators. It might have hunted in coordinated groups, assigning roles, herding prey, and executing ambushes in a style not unlike modern wolves. One individual could distract the target, while others flanked from the sides. There is also a possibility that velociraptors were capable of learning from experience. They might have tracked footprints, observed patterns in prey behavior, or even set up simple traps and distractions. In a world where most creatures operated purely on survival instinct, Velociraptor stood out as something far more dangerous, a predator with a plan. But to truly feel the harshness of prehistoric life, we need more than logic and imagination. Sometimes, nature offers a scene so raw, so powerful that no Hollywood director could ever recreate it. In 1971, paleontologists working in Mongolia made a discovery that stunned the world. They unearthed a fossil that captured a fight frozen in time. A velociraptor locked in deadly combat with a protoceratops. Finding behavior fossilized like this is incredibly rare, offering a priceless glimpse beyond just bones. The velociraptor's sickle-shaped claw was buried deep into the herbivore's neck, while the protoceratops had its jaws clamped tightly around the predator's arm. You can almost hear the crack of bones, feel the tension, and sense the pain of the attacker as its own weapon was being held in a death grip. Then, something unexpected happened. Perhaps a sudden, violent sandstorm swept over them, burying both animals instantly. Or maybe they fell together into a collapsing sand dune, too deep to escape. We may never know exactly how it happened. But what we do know is this: both creatures died in the middle of their final struggle, and that moment was preserved, untouched, for over 70 million years. After all these discoveries, the image of Velociraptor is finally coming into focus. Forget the towering, scaly monster you saw in the movies. Instead, picture a medium-sized predator, swift as the desert wind, with long, powerful legs and a lightweight body built for speed. Its body wasn't covered in reptilian scales, but in feathers, complex, layered, and alive with possibility. This was no cold-blooded brute. It was a deadly bird-like hunter, a true marvel of evolution, refined over millions of years to thrive in its unforgiving world. It sounds like the story of a creature that had reached the pinnacle of its domain, a near-perfect predator. But as life often reminds us, even the most dominant beings can fall to forces beyond their control. One day, around 66 million years ago, something appeared in the sky. At first, it was barely noticeable, a distant light, small and silent, but it grew. It became brighter, stranger, unlike anything Velociraptor had ever seen. This was not a star. It did not twinkle. It burned fiercely, ominously. That light was the Chicxulub asteroid, a massive space rock nearly 10 kilometers wide, heading straight for Earth. When it struck, the devastation was unimaginable. The energy released by the impact vaporized trillions of tons of rock and water, blasting them into the sky. Fires swept across continents. Earthquakes shattered the ground. The skies darkened under a thick, choking cloud that blocked out the sun. Imagine what it must have felt like for Velociraptor in those final days. The earth trembled beneath its feet. The air was filled with ash and fear. The prey it once hunted disappeared. Food became scarce. Cold and darkness settled over the land. Even the clever, agile Velociraptor could not escape the collapse of the world it knew. But this is not quite the end of its story. When the asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs, it didn't erase all of them. Among the survivors were close relatives of Velociraptor, small, feathered creatures that had already begun to explore new ways of living. Some of them, by sheer luck or resilience, made it through the aftermath. And from those survivors came an entirely new chapter in the story of life. They evolved, they adapted, they spread across the planet, and they became birds. Yes, the birds you see today, crows, hawks, sparrows, even penguins, are all descendants of the same evolutionary lineage as Velociraptor. They didn't just resemble dinosaurs, they are dinosaurs, the last living ones. So the next time you see a bird hop across your windowsill, remember this. Beneath those feathers lies a legacy that stretches back tens of millions of years. That tiny creature carries the echo of ancient hunters that once ruled the earth. No need to worry, though. That bird probably won't figure out how to open your door, at least not yet. And so, we've come to the end of our journey into the world of Velociraptor. It first appeared in our minds as a misunderstood icon of fear, shaped by fiction and brought to life by Hollywood imagination. But through the relentless curiosity and dedication of scientists, that image has transformed. Velociraptor is no longer just a creature of myth. It now stands as a powerful reminder of how awe-inspiring scientific discovery can be. It shows us that the truth isn't just stranger than fiction. It's often far more beautiful. The ancient past still speaks to us, not just through fossils and layers of stone, but in the quiet clues it leaves behind. Sometimes, even in the flutter of wings or the song of a small bird perched just outside your window. Our adventure into the world of Velociraptor ends here. Thank you so much for being part of this emotional and eye-opening journey through time. Until next time, and I'll see you on the next expedition.